So I'm going to go ahead and start this a little early just so I can work out the kinks before it's officially 6 o'clock. But my name is Lora Marie Durr, and I am a past recipient of a New Jersey Governor's Awards in Art Education.
Hey, Jen.
How's it look, Jen?
So weird.
All right, so it's about 6 o'clock. I am all dressed up for a presentation tonight. This is my first ever live Facebook experience, except for maybe the few tests that I did either today or yesterday. I am completely new to doing this live business, but I am, just like my students, learning new stuff all the time. My name is Lora Marie Durr. I am currently a high school art teacher at Hopewell Valley Central High School in Pennington, New Jersey. I have been there for 2 years, almost 2 years. It'd be 2 years in June. And prior to that, I spent 17 years teaching middle school art at Crockett Middle School in Hamilton, New Jersey. When I made the change to teach high school, I was really, really excited because I was ready for something different after that much time in one place, one position. So I am almost like a brand new teacher all over again, even though I have been teaching for 19 years. How's that even possible? I grew up in New Jersey. I live in New Jersey. I'm the product of New Jersey's public schools, went to Northern Burlington Regional, and I live on a farm. So I was asked to do a painting demo tonight, and I apologize. I'm not exactly sure how great this is going to come out. Not the painting itself, but the experience, just because this is my house and my home studio, which is not set up for televised production. So I'm going to do the best I can to stay out of the way of the painting while I'm working, and hopefully you guys will get to see some progress get done on this piece. I laid in some color earlier today, laid out the image itself earlier today, and then have been laying in color for the last half an hour or so. Just trying to give it a little head start so that you could maybe see something closer to finished in the end of this hour. So why am I here today, though? I could be painting on my own without having to go live and get really anxious about it. I was the recipient of an award through the National Art Education Association in 2018, and the award was the Eastern Region Middle Level Division Award. Lots of words. And that award recognizes a middle level teacher who is, doing good things for their students, for their community, for their state organization, for the national organization, playing an active role in the field of art education beyond just in their classroom. The Eastern region for the National Art Education Association consists of the eastern parts of Canada, from Maine down to West Virginia, and some parts of international areas as well are part of the Eastern region. So pretty big area, lots of art teachers that I was, I guess, up against. And it was a huge honor to receive that award out in Seattle, Washington at the National Art Education Association conference. So that award then was translated into a governor's award in arts education, through the Art Educators of New Jersey. And I received that award at the Governor's Awards in Trenton, New Jersey in the spring of 2018. I guess it was May of 2018 as well. That was a really cool experience. I had never been to the Governor's Awards before. I knew they existed, but I didn't really know much about them. And it was really wonderful to see the students performing and the student artwork displayed, and hearing the stories of these educators who were also receiving awards in their fields of dance and theater and music. It was really a moving experience. But so for right now, I'm going to stop talking for a little bit. I'm going to go back to painting, and I will I'll come back to you guys and talk a little bit more in a few minutes. But for now, I'm going to paint for a little bit. What am I painting? If you can't tell, it's early, so it's okay if you can't tell. I am working on a cheese board. Behind, and part of the problem is with the display is that I have some of my old paintings on the wall behind me, so it's a very cluttered view. I apologize for that. But I paint food. Last year I had a show at Artworks in Trenton entitled The Shared Meal, which featured a series of paintings that I had done entitled What's for Lunch, and some of them are behind you here. And that's what I do. I don't know. I love food. I really enjoy food. I hope you do too. And one of the things that I am inspired by is artists who paint food like Wayne Thiebaud and a guy named Mike Gino, another painter named Karen Appleton. They're making amazing paintings of food, and I am trying my best to live up to their standard of food painting. So this is a cheese board. It's funny because, cheese boards are usually consumed amongst friends. This is the second cheese board that I've painted during quarantine. So this was actually a friend's cheese board. They made it one of the last nights that people were getting together and seeing each other. So she sent me a picture of it, and I am now working on sort of documenting the things that I miss. And a lot of the things that I miss revolve around food and gathering with friends. So I'm going to go paint for a little bit, and then I'll come back and talk a little bit more. I don't know if I should try and talk while I paint. I don't know. It's weird. I don't normally do that. I like to use a lot of brushes when I paint. God, tend to have like every brush in my hand by the time I'm done with a session of painting. So when I'm looking down, that's what I'm usually looking for. Like, what's the next brush I'm going to add to my hand? Because I clearly don't have enough already in my hand. I usually like to just throw in a lot of color to start with and like lay in without worrying about any of the details at all, really, and just get sort of a base down. I hope you can hear me when I'm not facing the mic. Just get like a base of color down so that I'm not starting on bare canvas and trying to, work over the raw canvas. I also have a tendency to try, I don't always follow my rules, but to try to paint things from the bottom up. So in this case, it's a cheese board. The board would be the thing that I want to kind of like work on the details of first, because that way the paint is actually like laying under the objects that are sitting on top of it. I have a friend who's she doesn't like it when I say this, but she's my mentor in painting. I think she doesn't like that because she's younger than me, and then she feels old. But when she's been working with me with painting, she always says, you can tell what went on last when you're looking at a painting. So if you want the object or the surface to sit below something else, you really need to think about putting that on before you put the details over top of it, as I'm basically just ignoring that right now and throwing in a little bit of detail information on these fakes. But it's also trying to give you guys something to look at that starts to look like a painting. Let's see. Do I need to check in over here? Oh boy. Okay. So I think one of the reasons that the organizers of the Governor's Awards really wanted to do this was because the current situation we're in and the inability for us to gather in large groups. I think they wanted past winners, past recipients of Governor's Awards to sort of share their experience at the Governor's Awards and remind people of how wonderful and really meaningful it is as an experience. As a kid, I wasn't somebody who got a lot of awards. I wasn't into sports or anything like that real big. So, I never had those sports award banquets or anything like that to attend. So I feel like the Governor's Awards was really one of the first times that my family had the opportunity to come out and see me recognized for something. And that was really, really special to me, even though I was, fully grown and an adult. It was really nice for me to have my family there and have them, witnessing this moment and also, supporting me as I was getting this recognition. And really, without them, I wouldn't have been where I was, because my family absolutely, has supported me over the years in, my decision to be an art teacher, in, education, and also, my poor father has come in how many times and helped with a project that was bigger than I was able to do on my own, or assisted with an idea that, I couldn't do without the help of somebody who knew how to use tools or something that I wasn't familiar with. He gets a big shout out for all of his help with the middle school sets the year that I did that at Crockett. Without him, I don't think we would have had anything that stood up, let alone, something that kind of looked like a set. The other thing that I tend to do, and I don't know if anybody else who's watching is a painter, I tend to bounce around a lot when I paint, both physically in the whole back and forth thing, because this isn't just because of you, but also in the sense that I try to work the whole canvas at once. I don't like to get too far into one area before I move on and make sure I'm developing the next area. I've found that when I do that anyway, I end up with, say it's a portrait, the perfect eye, and then the rest of the painting is not quite right. And, you know, that's really kind of a problem. So rather than have to continually go back and fix things, I like to, you know, be working sort of across the whole canvas at one time, so that I am making sure that what I'm doing, you know, is in consideration of the whole piece and not just, you know, the perfect eye or whatever. Or in this case, I guess it would be the perfect slice of apple. I'm using oil paints. I didn't mention that, probably should have. Been an oil painter probably for, let's see, how long now? 23 years, I guess. Yeah, about 23 years I've been painting with oils. I love painting with oils so much more than any other medium, mostly because I like to blend on the canvas. I like to blend while I'm working, and oils really allow you to do that in a way that you know, other media really requires you to plan ahead. And the way that I paint in oils allows me to sort of work all over the place all of the time and really, you know, be kind of playful and loose with my painting, and let it sort of develop a little less rigidly. Sometimes oils are really a pain because then they all blend together and you're like, oh, I just made mud. But it's my own fault. So one of the things that Priscilla asked me to talk about was my sort of beliefs in art education, and how I think that art education is, you know, serving us at this crazy time while all the schools are closed. I I can't tell you enough how much art has helped me as a human being. Just to be able to sort of calm down and quiet the craziness in my brain. Um, the act of creating something always sort of calms my whole body down, and is one of the only times that it's really quiet for me. Oddly enough, I actually normally paint in silence anymore, which is funny because in my classroom we've always got music going. But at home, I like to be quiet. I like it. It's almost meditative for me. It's an opportunity for me to just be, still, kind of bouncing around. So yeah, it's definitely been important to me in terms of mental health, in terms of making connections with other people. Art has always been a way that I've found that I can relate to other people. I always seem to be able to find inspiration from other artists and hopefully inspire them too. And when I was in high school, the art room was my sanctuary. It was my favorite place to be. So I think now, being a high school teacher, I'm hopeful that I'm creating that same kind of environment for my students. An environment where they feel safe, where they feel like they can express themselves, where they feel like they can be calm during all the craziness of high school life. Right now, while we're off in remote learning land, I find that the connections that I have with my students are the most important thing. And they really are what's making the difference in them being able to cope with and still function as students in my classroom. Most of my students are still able to produce and still able to, connect with me and do the assignments as expected, which is a really, really wonderful thing. And I think part of that has to do with the fact that, art is something that helps them to get through tough times, and it's a place where they feel safe. And, in my presence as their teacher, they feel safe as well. So at this crazy time when nothing feels normal or safe, art still feels good for them, I think. I hope. I think so. It's funny, I've been doing so many videos lately and talks and connecting with people through videos. It's weird that there's no real back and forth with this, so it's a little bit strange, but I'm gonna go paint again for a little bit. So I don't know if anybody knows my work or is familiar with the way that I paint. I know you can see some of my other paintings behind me, but I tend to work kind of in an expressive style. I definitely don't try, nor do I want to make things perfect when I am painting. If I wanted to do that, I'd be a photographer. So for me, it's more about getting the feel of the objects, whatever they be, or whoever they be, so that it sort of expresses something rather than just, shows us the image. Sometimes I tend to leave the paint real chunky and thick, which is kind of fun. Some dog hair stuck to this. There we go. There's the dog hair. Because I don't know if you can see or not, because I think the camera's a little too far away. I like to blend on the canvas. I'm also kind of working on small stuff, so that's probably not helpful. I like to, one of the good things or cool things about oil paint is that it doesn't dry right away. So, you can bring another color in and those two will blend together. Sometimes that is maddening. Other times that makes for, really beautiful surprises that you might not have planned for, but that will really just make your painting. Sorry about that. Let's see. Back to playing with those figs. Figs are my favorite. They're one of my favorite things to paint. They're also definitely one of my favorite things to eat. I actually don't know what's in these jars. I should have asked my friend. One's some sort of like a berry spread, I would think. I don't know what that is. Maybe it's a ricotta. That would be delicious right about now. Some really fun shapes in here you might not see from a distance. So one of the things I like to do a lot when I'm painting is to use a palette knife. It's like fun and quick, and especially with cheese. It's just, I think, my favorite way to sort of make cheese happen in a quick sort of slice. up a little bit. Like oblongs a little bit there. I'm so annoying, aren't I? It's really hard to do this. Oh. And then every once in a while I forget you're there. I just get into the space of the painting and I forget I should probably be saying something. Painting has definitely been one of the things that's sort of trying to keep me sane during this time. And it's kind of fun to, I've been making some time-lapse videos, which I think are probably much more entertaining to watch because you get to see a whole painting in like a minute instead of watching for an hour or however long you're going to stay, and not much happens. Really grabs the work from the bottom to the top. That's awesome. Yeah, I don't know. One of the reasons I like to paint food, and for that matter, like anything still life oriented, is because I think it's kind of cool to take a moment and like honor these things that we don't really generally pay any attention to. I guess you can kind of see what I'm doing. So much of life is just so busy and so normally, not right now, but so busy and so, run from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. And I like painting these really simple objects and things that you don't generally stop to take time to appreciate, because we don't generally take the time to stop and appreciate them. I think it's kind of paying an honor to things that are very important, even though we generally ignore them. I kind of feel like that's maybe what's happening with not that we ignore the arts, But I feel like a little bit of that's what's happening right now in the world with the arts and how much um, people are relying on the arts at this moment. Um, People have the time all of a sudden that they're slowing down a little bit, and um, they are actually noticing what is artistic around them, or noticing the value that the arts place or have in their lives right now, because they actually maybe aren't on that crazy hamster wheel that's running from this thing to that thing to the next thing to the next thing, and taking that time to slow down, and whether we want it or not right now, kind of the choice we have. um, so for a lot of us, I realize there's a lot of people who are still out there working, and thank God for those people, because I don't know where we'd be without them. But for those of us that aren't, who are able to stop and to slow down a bit right now, I think the arts, are getting their moment of glory, because people aren't so busy. And when you're not quite as busy, you have more time for things that are often undervalued, or maybe don't get all of the attention that they kind of deserve. I really, really love some of this cheese right now. Let's see here. Bring up the shadow in here. Too much shadow. I feel like painting is just a matter of going back and forth between like one extreme and the next sometimes. Laying in something really bold and then realizing, nope, too much. Let me take that down a notch. And I think that's why I like oils so much, because I can easily sort of go, oh yeah, take that down. That's a little better. see. Getting there. So I was also asked to give some advice for the graduates of 2020, especially those. Oh, wait. Okay, wait, there's questions. I'm so sorry. How do you select the food to paint? So for the lunches, I actually had reached out to friends and family and even strangers on the internet and asked them to send me photos of their lunches. My goal with the lunches was to try and bring in as much diversity as possible, and to sort of explore how identity could kind of be shown through different people's lunches and what they had access to. I take some photos of food, but I tend to really like to use the photos that my friends take of food. I'm terrible at making decisions, it seems. And if I'm just given something, then I, don't have to make the decision. I just go with that. So it's kind of funny that way. And I do edit their photos down and try to, try to make them a little bit better of a composition. This one got zoomed in a little bit further to have a little less weird edges and stuff like that. I love that Gianna is also into painting food. So keep it up, Gianna. I have started bringing food lessons into my students. I actually have some of them I had to pick up from school. So I have one of my students painting of a donut here. It's not finished, unfortunately. But I think it's fun to, I like to say, practice what you teach. So I try to make sure that if I'm asking my students to do it, it's something that I too would do. If I'm asking my students not to use a certain technique or to use a certain technique, I'm going to make sure that I'm doing that as well. If I'm asking them to explore something like food, obviously I'm already exploring food. But I think it sort of gives me some validity with them and some credit. Like, I'm not asking you to do something that I wouldn't do myself. And I think that's really important for students to see us as artists as well as their teacher. So that's one thing that I found to be really helpful as an educator, is sort of walking the walk. Let's see. I was going to say, advice for the class of 2020. So I don't know if my dad managed to get on here, but a lot of people who know me well know that art education was not what I went to school for when I graduated from high school. I started out as an architecture major. I then turned into an receptionist for a little while. And then I went back to school for industrial design before finally changing my major to art education and ending up in that career field. My advice to the class of 2020 is don't be upset if your plan doesn't work out. Don't be surprised if your plan doesn't work out. It is really hard to know at 18 years old where you're going to be in 5 years, let alone 10 years or 20 years or 23 years like me, or 25 years. Wow, 25 years. However long it's been. It's hard to say that. We don't know what situations we're going to face, and I think, unfortunately, your senior year is getting a big kick in the teeth right now. But being able to be flexible, being able to change with the times, being able to accept that that didn't work and now it's time to figure something else out. I think that's a really important skill for anyone to have, and especially for the class of 2020 as they are moving forward out of high school and into college. or not college too. You know, that's not the answer for everyone. So, and I think one thing that this population that's, you know, receiving governor's awards this year and getting recognized for their work in the arts has in common is that we're creatives, okay? So we're people who look at a problem and see 6 solutions, not one, or maybe 600 solutions in some cases. Being creative, being somebody who, you know, looks for answers instead of just seeing problems all the time is a really important skill to have. And you know, graduating class of 2020, awards recipients of 2020, you're all creative people. So don't lose that creativity as you get older. Make sure that you continue to look at the world with those fresh eyes that is always looking for a solution and not just looking, you know, at the problem that may be facing us. This stinks. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm a high school teacher. I am so sad not to be with my kids right now. I'm so sad that my kids aren't getting to have prom and graduation like normal, right? But this doesn't have to be like a defining point. This is just a moment and things change, right? I went to school to be an architect. That didn't work out. So things changed. And in the end, where I ended up as an art educator, clearly, I think is where I was supposed to be all along. I wanted to be an architect because I wanted to change the world. I think that being a teacher gives me the best possible opportunity to make an impact on the future and on the world that I could have, because I'm working with students, and students are the future, and they are part of the world that, you know, is going to change over time. So if the first plan doesn't work, look for plan B. And I think that being flexible and accepting of the fact that sometimes things don't work and sometimes you got to change the plan is the best advice that I could give to the class of 2020. So I've got about 10 minutes left of painting with you guys. Clearly this is not going to get finished tonight, but I will post some pictures of it on my Facebook page if you want to check that out, or I'll post them onto this page as well. I hope I did this from the right location, Priscilla. I'm not sure I did, but I tried. I have to get out of the way. I keep being in the way of the painting. Let's play with this white cheese. I feel like that would be a fun thing to see come to life, if I can get it to come to life. I always like painting things that are white. They're not just white. A lot of color in white, believe it or not. Maybe not that much color. Oh, we're starting with I've got too many brushes in my hand. hard on my brushes sometimes. Can't help it. Okay. Getting it. You can kind of read that it's starting to get a little texture, a little life to it. Touch that cracker box at all, have I? Oops. So much for working around the whole painting. So this cracker box has my absolute favorite paint color in the whole world in it. It's called green gold. If you're a painter and you don't know green gold, check it out. let's call that a night. All right, so thanks for coming out. Thanks for watching. I hope you can kind of see what I have been working on. Made a little progress today, for sure. I'll post some more pictures later. But thank you to the Governor's Awards for asking me to do this. I hope it was okay and what I was supposed to do. Quick question and answers. I use a combination of both Gamblin and Winsor & Newton paints. Started using Gamblin recently because they have some colors that Winsor & Newton wasn't carrying. So I really like them, but they're expensive. The other problem with Gamblin I'm finding recently is that they separate, so the oil and the pigment are not staying nice and uniform, which I don't find that happening quite as much with the Winsor & Newton. So I may stick with Winsor & Newton permanently. But anyway, sorry I didn't see the question sooner. And let's see. I guess that's it. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate the Governor's Awards giving me this opportunity. I also really appreciate them giving me the award back in 2018. It was a pretty cool experience, and one that I am really proud of. And you know, getting recognized like that in a state with as many art teachers as New Jersey has is a pretty big deal. So I am truly honored to have received that award. If you're able, you know, support your local arts organizations in the arts education world. You know, hopefully you've seen of late how important the arts are, and you know, hopefully everybody's doing well and staying safe and staying healthy and maybe being creative. So thanks for watching. You can reach out to me if you have any questions that I didn't answer or missed, and have a great night.